So much for me starting on time. Hello, hello. My gosh, what is going on with my camera today? Here, I'll sit up a little bit. Welcome to another ohmTown Daily News Show. Today is October 30th, 2022. Halloween is tomorrow. I'm not scared. Are you? Well, let's get into today's news. If you stumble across this in podcast form, please stop by twitch.tv/ohmTown and we can have a chat live every day, 6 p.m., 6 to 7. I am trying to expand it, but life in ohmTown is unpredictable and I have to triage each day until I can find time to actually sit down and stream. So the office of Mayor Watt is jam-packed. And again, I am Mayor Watt. This is ohmTown Daily News Show. That is ohmTown.com. That's what powers this whole shindig. All of my news gets kind of jammed into 6 article categories. Create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. I come to it at the angle of I'm kind of a jumble of words today. So I speak to it from the perspective of business, technology, and society. I don't think that anybody can get away from all 3 of these things. If you are a lone wolf out there on the prairie, sure, you can get away from it, from business, technology, and society, but you are not a society. You are one person, alone, out there in the woods or in the prairie or wherever you might be, but you aren't part of anything. You're not part of a tribe. You're not part of a group, an organization, anything. But the moment that you interact with a second person, you're a society. And look at that. All of a sudden, you have business and technology and society all grouping together. And even when you're out on your own, you can't get away from technology, because even a hammer is technology. Yeah, it's pretty tough. In business, well, don't get me started. If you've got 2 people and you're bartering for supplies and support and doing, in-kind service, whatever it might be. Hey, I need you to dig a ditch and I'll build a roof on your hut or whatever it is. You're out because you're out there in the sticks, right? Wherever you might be. That's business. So no, you can't get away from any of the 3 in reality when you're all linked together in society. So let's get into this. I've got a bunch of articles. This first one is in the continuity report, which is all about movies and TV shows and whatever else might have continuity issues. So this article, though, is from the box office over at Variety.com. They have an article titled "Black Adam Triumphs Again with 27 Million and Ticket to Paradise Stays Strong." There's been a lot of issues with Ticket to Paradise. People have been talking about it because the 2 lead actors in Ticket to Paradise have been coined as being, older. And to me, I dig actors for actors' sake and for their work. Their age doesn't necessarily matter, and obviously, unless they're trying to play. Although, just recently, I saw this person was, I think they said that they were 28, but they looked like they were 16, and they were in a series on Apple TV, Disney. Or was it Apple TV? I'm not sure now where it was. Anyway, Ghost Rider. I was watching it with the family. And one of the actors there is like 28 years old or something like that, because I couldn't recognize them. And like I had in my head, I've seen them somewhere, but it wasn't them. It was somebody else. At any rate, so Ticket to Paradise, if you enjoy it, just enjoy it, folks. I guess by me talking about it like this, it makes it sound like it's a thing for me, a problem for me, but it's not. And I'm like giving it legs because somebody else is talking about it, but that's not true. Just addressing the elephant in the room in regards to Ticket to Paradise. Rebecca Rubin is the author of this over at Variety.com. And it says, Black Adam conquered the box office again in its second weekend in theaters. This is from the author, again over at Variety.com. Warner Brothers comic book adventure starring Dwayne Johnson as a baddie who promises to change the hierarchy of power. In regards to this, there have been people that are sitting there saying, it's trying to be a dog whistle towards this or towards that. I don't know. To me, I just watch a movie because it's a movie and it's for entertainment purposes, and sometimes there is a message there. I haven't seen Black Adam just yet, but he's an anti-hero from all accounts of my understanding of Black Adam in the DC universe. I'm not so sure there is anything more to it than just being an entertaining movie. It says it didn't take much for Black Adam to dominate the box office, since only one new movie, Lionsgate supernatural thriller Prey for the Devil, opened in North America. Wow, one movie. The PG-13 horror movie debuted in line with expectations, notching third place with $7 million. Wow. Is it me, or are those really low numbers all around? I don't know. Ticket to Paradise, a romantic comedy with Julia Roberts and George Clooney, landed at the number 2 spot with $10 million, dropping just 39% in its second weekend. The film has grossed $33.7 million to date, a solid result given the current challenges facing theatrical rom-coms. It has amassed another $85 million at the international box office, pushing its worldwide tally to 119. This is all over at that article. And they have more. They kind of trail off to other discussions in this article. So I would encourage you to go over and read more about it. But those were the two in the headline. It says in 8th place, the buzzy slasher film Terrifier 2 continued to impress, collecting $1.8 million from 1,550 cinemas over the weekend. The independent movie, which is distributed by Bloody Disgusting, is already wildly profitable since it has grossed $7.63 million on a $250,000 budget. I would suspect that movie will end up in How Did This Get Made's podcast by the same name, How Did This Get Made? Terrifier 2. I don't know, maybe it's a cult classic already in the making. Elsewhere in the box office, 2 art house movies. I think it's called Tar. It has a little tick over the A. And Till expanded nationwide to middling results in 6th place. The well-reviewed Till generated $2.8 million from 2,058 locations. Not bad, right? Boosting its North American total to 3.6. This is an independent film, for crying out loud. Art house movies, as far as I know, are independent. Go check out this article, please. And if you're interested in this kind of stuff, I am hoping to spin up the continuity report starting in January. Another hour, once a week show. ohmTown Daily News will be the only daily show at ohmTown. The next article is in the Warcrafters channel. Build big, stupid custom spaceships with friends in Cosmoteer. This is one that I have just acquired. I haven't yet even played past maybe the first 15 minutes. I got pulled away. Space Strategy Sandbox and Building Nerds. Have you seen Cosmoteer yet? It is over in Steam, so you can go and get it now. It's a Starship Designer simulator that puts you and some friends in a big universe to command an ever-growing custom-built fleet against a variety of AI or player opponents. It's a cool loop, one where you defeat enemies, complete contract missions, and go mining to get resources, and then use that loot to upgrade your ship so that you can take over harder and ever harder, tasks. You can do all that with buddies in co-op, which I absolutely love. So if you're interested in doing something like that with me, let me know. I will reach out to you and we can play Cosmoteer together. You can also test your ship designs against players in PvP and make wild ideas work before you invest in them via the creative mode, which I have yet to start up. But I'm hearing good things about it, so I went and got it. And it's, like it says here in the article, it's early access, so expect some changes to be made manifest. Jonathan Bolding over at PCGamer.com wrote this article, and it says, or make functional ones, whatever. I'm not your dad. Neither am I. I'm also not your financial advisor. I'm not your attorney. Well, I guess I could be your business consultant, but that's a whole different thing. And not my job as mayor, so I'm not your business consultant either. So is there anything else over in this article? Go and check it out. It's over at Steam. It says here that it's for $20. I'm not sure what the price is by the time this gets posted, and by the time I start talking, who knows? Something could have changed. But it's over at Steam right now. Cosmoteer. It says it currently enjoys a somewhat shocking 96% positive out of 1,113 reviews. I'm not quite sure why it's somewhat shocking. I'm considering everybody who tried it out in early, before it dropped to early access, their reviews of it were that they dug it. I mean, it's just awesome, because all you do is fly around and do contract jobs to eliminate things and get resources and then expand on your ship. I mean, it's just kind of spectacular. It's a lot of fun. Just watching people play it was a lot of fun. The only problem, though, is that I didn't get much of a story because I didn't get to watch much of the play from people. But I suppose there might be a story there. I hope there is, because everything that I dig about like world builders and stuff like that is kind of built on the idea that there is some type of plot storyline, and while I'm building, I'm getting to that end piece. It's kind of like Grounded. Grounded has this just huge storyline that follows along, and you have to do certain steps to get there. And by huge, I mean you have to go from being tiny to being embiggened. That's the entire premise of Grounded. Anyway, go check it out. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. Satellite pictures shine light on the nations that inflate their GDP. A tweet from author Nissim Nicholas Taleb caught the author's eye last week. Amid the merry-go-round of prime ministers, they told us all to stop complaining about the turnover in Britain. It caught my eye partly because I'd done some complaining myself in last week's column. This is the author talking. There's this little snippet here that says authoritarian regimes can be seen to be manipulating their economic growth rates to greater extent than democracies. Anyway, his argument was that it's good that such fast turnover can happen, and definitely preferable to other nations that have no turnover, i.e. Russia, Saudi Arabia, China, North Korea, on and on. I mean, there are several. Anyway, this is over in The Guardian, and it doesn't look like there's an author here. It just says The Observer Global Economy. I don't know if there's... Oh, Torsten Bell. Sorry. This layout, I thought, was in a different way. Anyway, Satellite Pictures Shine Light on the Nations That Inflate Their GDP is an article over at The Guardian by Torsten Bell. And it says here the tweet prompted 2 reactions. The first and strongest was that just maybe we don't face a binary choice between dictatorship and the recent chaos, but second, that it's always good to be reminded of the benefits of our democracy. Being able to dispense swiftly of leaders making big mistakes is important as a U.S. stuck with, or as a U.S., as the U.S. was stuck with Trump for 4 years demonstrated. Well, let's just let's put a caveat on that. It says here, and let me finish their paragraph here. And there are some specific advantages for us economic researchers. Okay, so let me just put a very big caveat on there. If something is stacking the deck against a dynamic change, then it's really tough to move out the bad actors, because there are checks and balances from doing exactly that. Well, whatever went on, and I'd really like researchers to look into this. I don't think that I'm capable of. I don't have that type of connection because it's political, and my aspirations are not political. I may be mayor of ohmTown, but ohmTown is a bunch of electrons in the wires of the internet. This idea that we were stuck was firmly bound in a captured Senate, because the people spoke twice to impeach Trump. And in both cases, the Republican Party that held the primary, and this was an issue that had been already addressed by the previous leaders, previous presidents of the United States. The moment we ended up in a 2-party system, we were going to end up with 2 gangs battling it out with a metric ton of money. And that's why we ended up here. It isn't because we wanted authoritarianism, that we wanted fascism. There is a minor number of people that will just vote down ticket, and that's because they identify as Republican, and there are no other choices that hold the purse strings. And that's where the real change is, with money. So all of these wingnuts that are controlling Senate, they're not going to let go of the money, because leaving the Republican Party would mean I don't have any access to funds. So they are going along, they are getting along. And this is a phrase that has stuck with me for a long time now. I'd say a decade plus, get along to go along. It's a horrible thing, because it makes you literally supporting the bad efforts simply because you want to keep your gig. And so we ended up with, this far away from a complete coup. We had a coup attempt on January 6th. All because there are a bunch of wingnuts that are feeding an ignorance fiesta, and an ignorance fine dining experience. They are supporting these wingnuts by telling wingnut stories, and the wingnuts aren't doing the due diligence necessary to move away from the wingnut fringe. Why? No idea. It's intellectual dishonesty. But the people who need to learn that there is a problem here, in that this is wingnut fringe, and I'm talking about the wingnut fringe, they aren't going to willingly go search for something that impugns their own belief system. And that's really where the problem is. It's a belief. And you can't stamp out an ideology. Now, I've said this before in previous streams. The only way you can stamp out an ideology without being, well, you can't without being a complete sociopath. You have to do Tiananmen Square style authoritarian actions. You have to stamp it out through fear of reprisal. And we're moving slowly towards that here in the US. I mean, never in my lifetime have I ever heard of people armed to the teeth monitoring election spots for fraud. Yet there's never been any fraud. There's never been shown any fraud. And I just saw another tweet. It popped up again because it had been something of a discussion previously. Here in the States, 2 people of color, black people, were told that it was okay for them to vote, and they were arrested. But 2 white people were caught voting twice, and they were summarily dismissed. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure, there's no institutional issue here. But this is all part and parcel to the ideological issue, and not to being able to dispense swiftly of leaders making big mistakes. That doesn't solve the problem, and it won't solve the problem anywhere. Being able to dispense swiftly of leaders making big mistakes means somebody else can move in and remedy those swift changes. And that's exactly what has happened in the United States. It's the Senate has been stacked through wealth and control. And everybody in Senate wants to keep their job more than anything else. They want power. Because as the population and time goes by, Senate increases in authority while the House of Representatives declines. More people get added to the House of Representatives. The Senate will always be 100 people, 2 per state, regardless of the density of the state. It's supposed to be a check and a balance, but all you have to do is get 51. Not bad, right? Regulatory capture. Caleb's rant reminded this author of the paper that quantified the extent to which GDP statistics have been manipulated in authoritarian regimes and democracies. The author examined the relationship between nighttime light emissions, a proxy for economic progress that is independently measurable from satellites, the reported economic growth. The less democratic a country, the greater the GDP growth reported for a given increase in light, i.e., the more the stats got inflated. The author argues that could mean GDP growth rates being inflated by 15 to 30% in the most authoritarian regimes. And all that matters is that now, and this is something that this is the observer effect. The moment that somebody comes out and says, hey, I'm looking at you, all it takes now is somebody to just start pumping out lights everywhere. All because there's some article. Gotta watch everything. Like I said, it's not going to stop there. Now there's going to be lights somewhere, and it's going to be representative of growth, and it's going to match their GDP, because lights are cheap. It's just LEDs nowadays. This article, Joe Rogan praises Elon Musk for wanting to bring, quote, reasonable exchange of ideas back to Twitter. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Twitter is a plurality. It's a melting pot of ideologies. It's a melting pot of people. And you will not change this until you remove the anonymity, which means that you will change the chemistry of Twitter. If you have to identify yourself, you will change the identity of Twitter. He being Elon Musk wants to integrate this into a unified app, much like China has right now with their social credit kind of construction. Musk had, banged his drum for a banking app at x.com. Pardon me one second. Musk banged his drum for x.com and wasn't making it, so parlayed that into PayPal and took that, and before that it was Zip2, and in all of these cases there were partners, but nobody hears about the partners. They only hear about Elon Musk. Musk is basically like Jobs, just the front man for the band. The real work was done behind the scenes. This is not going to be anything. You cannot wipe out the entirety of the mishmash of ideas and means of communication and style of communication. Reasonable exchange of ideas is not going to take place in some pithy little snippet of text, and it's not going to take place. You're going to change the nature of Twitter if you allow long form video and long form text. It's designed to pique somebody's curiosity so that they do their own due diligence, but a lot of people will not do that, and thus Twitter exists in somewhat of a vacuum of pithy statements that are supposed to be enough for somebody to get the picture. But most people that I know of use it for marketing and nothing else. Their account exists to market. And I, for one, didn't use Twitter that much before, and now I'm not even going to bother, because who knows what's going on behind the scenes at Twitter. And like I said in the last episode, that little nominal bit, that little bit, that quantum of transparency at Twitter is gone. I wouldn't trust stats out of Twitter if anybody's life depended on it. Joe Rogan praised Elon Musk's Twitter takeover in his latest podcast with comedian Bridget Phetasy. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, or their last name, I should say. He said Musk wants to bring back a reasonable exchange of ideas and things. This is important. Yeah. A lot of people thought the same thing about Reddit. Dig imploded because it went straight commercial, just basically like an arterial spray of commercialism into Dig. It died on the vine the immediate moment that it opened its floodgates to direct publication of basically ads. At least that's what a lot of people, when I wasn't at Dig, I was a consumer of Dig. That was what caused the implosion of Dig. Everybody went over to Reddit, and everybody at Reddit basically said, now they're moving in. Yet now Reddit is huge, absolutely huge, and has little ecosystems of personality, little cultures of subreddits, and that's where it stays. Sometimes it bleeds over, but there are policies and procedures in place to mitigate that bleed over into other cultures. Like, you don't go into Batman subreddit and talk about Superman. Well, I mean, you don't go into DC subreddits and talk about anything else. Otherwise, you might get banned. I don't know. It is what it is. But Twitter isn't like that. Twitter doesn't have like little subcultures. It's built around hashtags. It has a culture all of its own, and trying to inject reasonable exchange of ideas doesn't work, because there are irrational, unreasonable people out there that don't want to have a conversation. They want to espouse their ideas, and either you like it or you hate it. You are either a friend or you are a complete diametrically opposed enemy. and I will do anything I can to get rid of you from invading my idea. That's how it works. That's vitriol. That's pure anger. I'm not interested in having a conversation. And in Twitter, it's really tough to have a real conversation because there are a lot of irrational people that will inject their commentary and derail the conversation. And it's up to each person who runs the thread to manage that stream. Joe Rogan praised Elon Musk wanting to bring back a reasonable exchange of ideas. Who do you think is going to do that? How do you think you're going to do that? Now it's gone private. There's zero oversight now. Some people are staying, other people are getting fired. And he gets an email. We'll get to that later on. But this article is over at businessinsider.com. Sam Tabarharidi it might be just Tabaridi, is the author of the article. And I remember Joe Rogan from way back MTV days. Elon took over Twitter today like we live in a simulation, Fedesi said. That crazy bastard did it, she added, calling his stunt of walking into Twitter's San Francisco headquarters with a sink a dad joke. It's a stupid joke. It doesn't even make any sense other than something that doesn't riff off of anything. Let that sink in. It's so dumb. Rogan said it was important that Musk wanted to restore reasonable exchange of ideas on Twitter, and notable coming from someone who is that wealthy and had been left-leaning most of his life. Right. This actually embodies exactly what I've been saying, and it's coming from Rogan, who probably is the same way, but I have never even looked into Rogan. Enough people have said that they don't like Rogan for me to not even bother looking at Rogan. At some point, I was like, how did Musk become Musk? And that dude came from money, like nobody's money, okay? He walked around with emeralds in his pockets and paid for things with emeralds, raw emeralds from dad's mine. That is the history of it. And I'm sure that it's going to get whitewashed at some point. But Rogan, no idea. Haven't even bothered looking into him. But his statement is exactly what I've been saying in this stream for the last 10 months, coming up on 11 months. The wealthier you become, the more sociopathic you become, and it's a defense mechanism. And if this is tracking true, it becomes the more wingnut right political demographic. So you become more of a wingnut when you get wealthy to the point where you could care less about human society. Oh, and just so that you know, do you think that this is about bettering the world by switching to electric vehicles, and that was the motivation? I hate to break it to you, that's not it. It's about getting so much money that you don't have to worry about anything anymore. And just so you know, it isn't him. There's always an engineer that is riding in the wake of Elon Musk, because every engineer basically has to go and chase money to get something done. And Musk is a metric shit ton of money. And he has political connections to get grants. So of course there's big money following Musk around, and you can get paid big bucks. But he didn't start Zip2 all on his own. He didn't start X.com all on his own. He had other people that were skilled in the art, right? The things that I've done on my own. That's why I'm not a billionaire. He didn't start Tesla. He didn't start PayPal. He merged X into PayPal with other people that were engineers and better connected. He didn't start Tesla. He bought his way into it. He didn't start anything. And SpaceX almost imploded, but it was a NASA grant built off of the engineers' capabilities, not Elon Musk. He's just the front man for the band. And buying Twitter is just another thing. He thinks that he's going to change it. He's going to fix it. It's not going to change anything. This is what's going to happen. He's privatized Twitter. He needs to start paying almost $1 million a year. Or, sorry, not $1 million, $1 billion a year. Just to pay back the financial burden there. Depending on how it was all calculated out. You know, there's... In the startup world, there's pre-money and post-money, and when you privatize something, whoever it was that put their money into it owns a certain portion of it. I don't know what the ratio is between Elon Musk and various other people. All we know is that Elon Musk paid $44 billion. That's not really how it works. He did not pay $44 billion. He paid $44 billion in money, but there could be a small cohort, and there is, based on the tweets that were, not the tweets, but the texts that we've seen. There are people that paid into it. So now he's got to pay that back. And Twitter has debt. So this is something that'll have to be paid, and what's going to end up happening is it's going to keep on making money, and the people that are in the business are going to keep getting their draw. People are still going to get paid because advertisers haven't disappeared from Twitter. It's still a vehicle for conversation. Somewhere in the back end, things are changing. What they are, how they are made manifest, I don't know. The rumor is larger tweets, video, and what else? What else could there possibly be? Oh, let's make it a subscription service, $5 a month, and you don't get advertisements. I haven't seen advertisements in I don't know how long over on Twitter. Yeah, I ignore it all. It means nothing to me. Just like most people, the purpose of an ad isn't for clicks. I mean, most people don't click on ads. They see the ad, and it becomes a psychological impression. It becomes a part of you until you know that just seeing the little Nike swoosh reminds you directly of Nike. That's the purpose of it. So where is this going to go? Nowhere. Suddenly it's going to become public again. They're going to re-release the stash of stock. It's going to go public again. Except that everybody is going to have a different ratio of ownership. A few people are going to have controlling stock. And some amount is going to go public. And it's going to be the same valuation as before. Unless it's traded off of Musk's name. Just like Tesla is. Irrationally high for what it is. And it's losing ground. There are so many competitors that are moving into this space because they had to save up enough and recapitalize this new direction of electric vehicles. But the energy grid can't handle mass production. The time it takes to charge a vehicle is just too long for, and too low of a return for general consumption. Some people are early adopters, but in the grand scheme of things, it takes too long to charge a battery. When it takes 5 minutes for me to fill up with gas, but look at gas prices, ever increasing, diesel through the roof, twice as high as a year ago. Anyway, then we hear about all of these other numbnuts. Ted Cruz. Who cares? Ted Cruz. Don't you have a vacation to take and blame it on your kids? LeBron James said he didn't care who owns Twitter, but hoped Musk would take hate speech seriously after reports that the use of the N-word had surged. You think that you're going to stamp out that ideology simply because you block use of the N-word on Twitter? That's not how ideologies work. You know, education is how you stamp out ideologies. I think we have a bigger problem in sociopathy, but that one is a hard one to detect and change the direction of. I have other ideas about that, but let's move on. This next article is in Hatch Ideas. A 19-year-old who makes $10,000 a month from his video game side hustle. Quote, I never knew that writing could make me so much. Arish Lahijani makes up to $10,000 per month from his unique, lucrative side hustle, writing backstories for Grand Theft Auto video game characters. Wow. That's amazing. Megan Sauer? Or Sawyer. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. Megan, tell me how to say it. Anyway, this is over at the CNBC.com site called Make It. Arash Lahijani was a high school senior when he learned that he could make money writing backstories for video game characters. A friend of his had paid a Fiverr freelancer $70 to do it for Grand Theft Auto characters, he recalls. So he started researching and realized that it was a market. Anything can be a market, folks. Even better, it was something that he could do as a side hustle after school and during weekends. A week later, on April 2021, he set himself up on Fiverr, and since then he's earned $62,400 writing more than 400 character backstories for an online version of the video game Grand Theft Auto, according to documents reviewed by CNBC Make It. In just his second full month on the platform, he made $9,700. I never knew that writing could make me $10,000 in a month. Lahijani, now a 19-year-old sophomore at New York's Baruch College? I don't know how to pronounce it. Tells CNBC Make It $10,000 a month, folks. This is why I tell people in my sphere of influence, start now. Start early. As you get older, you become more and more overwhelmed by responsibility. And if you can make a large amount of money early and sock it away, then you can enjoy your work today much later in life when it really matters that you have either free time or something to cover medical costs or a whole host of other things like, well, I'm tired of that person's BS. I'm bowing out. So they have a little thing here at that article. How to write video game backstory. Lahijani writes, says his writing skills aren't from English classes or extracurricular interests at Baruch College, where he has a full academic scholarship. Lahijani is studying statistics and quantitative modeling. So, person's no slouch there, folks. Rather, he says his knack for storytelling comes from writing and listening to speeches. In his high school, he was a grade president, the school treasurer, and the founder of the computer science club. So this person has a work ethic that blows most people out of the water, and had it while they were in high school. Lahijani goes by Jimmy Can Write on Fiverr, offers 3 types of packages for his clients, which cost between $45 and $195. The most expensive option includes a 10-page backstory that takes about a week to write and is the most popular. So $200, folks. Somebody could slide in under there if they have good writing skills. Probably, pretty good writing skills would do it and charge $175. It might take you a week, but you don't write sustained for a week. It doesn't take 40 hours. You know, 10 pages in a week. It's quite the hustle. How would you know if it's unique or not? Either. For premium stories, he asks each client about their character's birthplace, age, job, strengths, weaknesses. This is all RPG stuff. This is role-playing game stuff. This is stuff that many of us who play role-playing games have been doing for years and years. Can you imagine if you're really into it and you are in high school, all you have to do is ask these questions and then learn how to write better? You know, you can actually do it as a side gig again and again and again while you're in high school. That's what this person did. Go and do it. Why his writing will stay a side hustle. Full-time writers at video game studios make an average of $56,417 according to ZipRecruiter. This is what's in the article. So if Johnny made his maximum of $10,000 per month, he'd earn 2 times that. For the most part, Johnny uses the cash for practical things. He says he spent $12,000 on a used car and put $6,000 into a Roth. Well, that's $18,000 out of the $60,000. Somewhere around $20,000 is going into taxes. Hopefully he's paying taxes. Let's move on. The next article is bees shown to count from left to right for first time. This is all stuff that's over in the Showbot. So if you do !Showbot, it'll give you a URL to go to. That's ohmTown.showbot.tv. All of these articles that I talk about are going to be in the show notes as well, and in the podcast show notes. So it's over on YouTube. It's here on Twitch as a VOD, but only for 60 days. Then Twitch just kills the oldest VOD. And the podcast. You can just do a search anywhere for ohmTown and it'll pull up ohmTown. So these bees are counting from left to right for the first time. Bees order numbers in increasing size from left to right, a study has shown for the first time, supporting a much debated theory that this direction is inherent in all animals, including humans. Pierre Collier, or Celerier, I think is their last name. Pardon me. Anyway, Western research has found that even before children learn to count, they start organizing growing quantities from left to right in what is called the mental number line. However, the opposite direction has been found in people from cultures that use an Arabic script, which leads from right to left. The subject is still being debated between those who think the mental number line has an innate character and those who say it's cultural, said Martin Giurfa, a professor of research center on animal cognition at Paul Sabatier University, in Toulouse, France. It's probably Sabatier. There have been recent evidence that newborn babies and some vertebrate animals, including primates, organize numbers from left to right. This is such a struggle. Why anybody would want to know what the innate number line is, if there is one, and argue the case. It might be because of ease of learning, perhaps, and that retraining the natural order of mental processes so that you learn from right to left instead of left to right, if that's the natural thing, might create a friction point. Maybe that's a possibility. It says they also process information differently in the two hemispheres of their brains, he added. This trait they seem to share with humans and is thought to be a potential reason for the existence of the mental number line, Gurfa said. It says it has already been shown that bees are able to count at least up to 5. For the experiment, the researchers had individual honeybees fly into the first of 2 compartments of a wooden box. Sugar water was then used to entice the bees to select a number affixed to the middle of the back of the second compartment. The number stayed the same for each individual bee, but varied randomly across the group from between 1, 3, or 5 in shapes of circles, squares, or triangles. Once the bees were trained to fly towards their set number, the researchers removed it and put another number on both sides of the second compartment, leaving the middle blank. They then removed the sugar water reward and observed which way the bees went. For example, if the bee was trained to select the number 3 and was now faced with a 2 number 1s on either side and nothing in the middle, which way did they fly? Well, around 80% of the time, the bees chose the option on the left, the correct choice, if brains ordered numbers from left to right. Hold on a second. They chose the option to the left. Okay. But if those same bees were given 2 number 5s to choose from, they went right, again, supporting the mental number line. Mental number line, or they understood what the number was. They looked at the number, that shape was retained so that they returned to it. Much like knowing where flowers are, and that's why they fly in that direction to flowers. They don't just aimlessly fly around and find flowers. They do when they're hunting for flowers, but when they find flowers, they go to the flowers. So if animals do in fact, okay, wait, and bees trained to go for the number 1 went to the right for a 3 number, while bees targeting a 5 went to the left for their 3. Well, I would suspect that maybe if they don't find their number, then they just pick an option. And if there's only 3, then yeah, they're going to go to the right or to the left, depending on what number they were trained to see and no longer see. So if they were trained for the 5, they would go over to the left versus the right. I don't know. I'll have to go and read this article. Yeah, so interesting if it's true. More research will come out of this. This next article, though, is over in the Hedge Ideas channel. Elon Musk says he has quote, no idea who the CEO, end quote, of Twitter is after being sent an auto email telling him, quote, it's time to start managing. Here is a picture of Elon Musk after stating, I bought Twitter, right? Even if the world's richest man may still have a thing or two to learn about running a company, according to automated systems at his latest acquisition, at least, Elon Musk was sent an email from Twitter telling him, quote, it's time to start managing at Twitter 101, in reference to a training course about what it means to be a good manager at Twitter. It came days after he finally took control of the social media platform in a $44 billion deal that took months to close after the billionaire attempted to walk away. Musk tweeted on Sunday, just received an email from Twitter. This is an actual real email that was auto-generated. He joked, so demanding to allow a mere 30 days to learn this priceless information. But Management 201 is such a tantalizing carrot. Well, I guess we'll see. We shall see. Anyway, anybody newly added to a corporation pretty much will get an automated email saying, welcome to the company, and here's the things that you have to do, like, Title IX training or cybersecurity training or all ethics training, all kinds of stuff. I'm sure all of it would get dismissed by Musk. Anyway, this is over at businessinsider.com by Sam Tabaridi. Musk tweeted that he has no idea who the CEO is yet, despite calling himself Chief Twit. Yeah, everything's a joke. Anyway, New York's smallest apartment has no bathroom. This is stuff that I've talked about previously, but these are new articles. So it's not like it's a one-off kind of a thing. New York's smallest apartment has no bathroom, and its renter shares one in the hall with its neighbors. Alex Verhaeg moved into a 95 square foot East Village apartment in 2020, pays $1,100 a month for his micro studio, and shares bathrooms with his neighbors. Dorm-style living has become more common, and median rent soars to $4,000 in Manhattan. And that's because everything is owned. And if you want to live in Manhattan instead of somewhere else on other sides of bridges and have a 2-hour commute, you're going to end up paying dearly for it. 95 square feet of apartment without a bathroom. I think that should be illegal, but if people are willing to pay it, who am I, right? Jordan Hart over at Business Insider is the author of this. I got a few articles from Business Insider. I guess it's a busy day. Sunday, though, is usually kind of bleh for news. At any rate, go over and check it out. He can literally touch both sides of his, I would say, everything. Micro studio. This is not something that I would probably champion, but Jordan Hart, again, wrote this article over at Business Insider. And again, it's over at Showbot, so go and check it out. ohmTown.showbot.tv. Go and check it out. Next article, diesel market is in a perfect storm as prices surge. Supply dwindles ahead of winter. Diesel prices are surging with supply at a level not seen since the 1950s, and a ban on Russian refined products will lead to greater competition for fuel. Yeah, that's not why it's surging. It's surging because people are, well, let's just say, greedy bastards. Bitcoin is collapsing again. I'm trying to find where I have the gas prices, but I don't see them up anymore. Let's see here. I know this is like amazing podcast material. So diesel is at $5.32. I'll round up, which again, having a metric that is comparing a year previous, it really does society a disservice, because a year ago doesn't really matter much. When the low is below $3.60, because further back you go, the less it was. It's now at $5.32. That's twice as much as, well, nearly twice as much as a year ago, and more than twice as much when you go further back. This is all greed. The profit margin allows this to be moderated at a lower rate, but that's not what's happening. The producers of diesel in particular see a metric ton of money sitting on the table, and they're too greedy to just let it go and let consumers have some level, modicum of respite from the pain and suffering that they've been experiencing for 2.5 years. You think people enjoyed having a bunch of money because they sat around? No, it was going towards prices that are increasing for the last 2 years. Lorianne LaRocco over at CNBC wrote this article. And so inventory is low. Population is high. Demand is high. It says the number of days supply is 25. So that's pretty much what everybody else is living in month to month. So apparently diesel is that low, which means that products cannot get from one place to another, because it isn't people driving around in their unleaded gasoline vehicles. It's trucks that have to have more torque to be able to carry large weight up hills and long distance. And in bulk. It's not like you want 150 million more F-150s carrying around a couple of tons of material. No, you want trucks doing it. Some might argue trains, but hey, corporations did a really bang-up job in dismembering the train system here in the United States. Diesel prices have increased 33% for November deliveries and are expected to go higher. Diesel supply in the Northeast, the drought-stricken Mississippi River, and a potential rail strike are contributing to higher fuel demand, with calls for federal government intervention to increase supply. And diesel reserves have not been this low since 1951. Yeah, I told you all. Prices are going to go through the roof. This is a CPI thing. This is a producer price index thing. This is the producers of the material artificially constraining the supply and sucking the money out of the middle class, because the rich aren't paying this. Acer Chromebook Spin 714 is worse than its predecessor. This is a article over in The Word in Tech. And the reason why I even chose to bring this aboard, this is over at The Verge. It's by Monica Chin. I am completely against Chromebooks. They are too specialized for one particular purpose, and they can't do anything generalist in any sense of the word. They're inexpensive, but nowadays, at $730, it cannot do what a full PC can do with with a full operating system. You need something like Windows. It says the major area in which this device has improved over the 713 is speed. The 714 is one of the few Chromebooks that comes with Intel's 12th generation. It's lightning fast. It handled the author's heavy multitasking workload, which I'm not sure what that even means, and can't imagine it would have a problem running things in Linux either. No. While they tested last year's 713, the fans were raging basically the whole time, so that's a welcome improvement. Okay, so let's scroll down here. I'm just looking for something here. 1 second. You know, it might be faster if I look elsewhere. Dun dun dun. Sorry, I'm just scanning for something. Doggone it. Oh, The Verge, and it's below the fold snap of 5,000 pages. So, yeah, it's still running Chrome OS. So everything is in the cloud, and everything is tied to a Google account. Yeah, you can sign up for other stuff, but the simple fact is that it's basically a Google device, which is fine for its intended purpose. But if you need a utilitarian device, a Chromebook is not it. It can only do one thing, and that's connect you to the cloud. Sure, you can do things local. Don't fixate on the one thing that I'm trying to drive home. But it is a one-hit wonder. It has one task. That's to get you online. Even though you can do things local, its entire ideology is hell-bent on putting you online. Anyway. I just wish that we could get replaceable batteries back. Just develop the tech to allow us to slide thin batteries into the into the side of the device. For crying out loud, give us replaceable batteries. When the battery dies, I can plug it in, swap out batteries, and disconnect again, so I don't have to worry about always being plugged in or my battery dying mid whatever I'm doing. It doesn't matter. Make it so I'd rather have a little bit thicker device, build the material so that it can lock a slide-in battery in place, make the frame rigid enough to allow for this one thing, for crying out loud. Okay, well, the next article is the craziest Airbnb designs that just won $100,000 from a ghost town gondola and acorn tree house to a salt cave and koi fish dome house. Airbnb awarded 100 recipients $100,000 each to design out-of-this-world properties. The properties are located around the world and have unique thematic concepts. And you can see 25 of the designs that won the coveted grant. There's an Airbnb for everyone these days. Tiny homes, A-frames, Moroccan riads, and properties purposely stocked with a grand piano. But for those looking to step inside an Airbnb and have their minds blown, there's a specific category for that, the Oh My God category, symbolized by a little UFO spaceship. I think that UFO and spaceship are one and the same, unless you're talking about SpaceX. Judges representing Airbnb chose 100 winners from more than 20 countries to award $100,000 each to bring their designs to life. The properties will be ready for guests by next summer. This is the last article for today. I will not be going through all of them. I think that they've got a lot over here at the Business Insider article. Sarah Bell Lynn is the author of this. And let's look at a few of them. I won't go through them all. There's a honeybee one, a beehive house in the rainforest in Costa Rica. I think this is something that is to be built, not already built. All of these are like that. Jungle Eco Tree House with a leaf petal shape. I don't know how they're going to facilitate that, but it looks like it's going to be a whole bunch of wood. Maybe it already exists. I'm not sure. I think the implication was that it is to be built. Acorn Library with Treehouse Outdoor Acorn Bathroom. Oh, bathtub. Sorry, I see it right there. It's out on a little pedestal. It's in the UK, so I guess you don't have to worry about a lion eating you. Like human soup. You'll be out there luxuriating in your bath and then something pop out and eat you. Orion Constellation, 10 elevated rooms in Oaxaca. I like saying that, Oaxaca. Oaxaca. A bunch of bedrooms in the shape of a Himalayan fruit. That's in India. Ghost Town Gondola Town at 12,000 feet. All right. Hansel and Gretel's Chocolate House in Argentina. Wow. Adobe fossilized dinosaur skull in the desert in the United States. This is stuff. Wow. This is amazing, actually. I kind of dig this. They have about 12 more if you follow this. Tire-shaped house made of junkyard tires. That can't be healthy for you. I can't believe that that would be made into anything. I think tires off gas, like constantly. I'd have to look into that one. Anyway, there are a bunch more. But yeah, most of these, if not all of these, are renders. I think that they're all renders. Stargazing sphere suspended in the rocks. All right. Dome house floating in a koi fish pond. Pretty interesting, folks. And each one got $100,000. Every single one of these is probably going to use all of that $100,000. Okay, so that is it for today. Again, it is October 30th, 2022. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. Go over and check it out. Come back tomorrow at 6 p.m. I'm out of here. See you tomorrow.